Hello, and thank you for watching Book Critique 5. My name is Dana Wells. The featured text that I chose for this week is Martin's Big Words, The Life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Doreen Rappaport. So this book tells the story of Martin Luther King Jr. as he grew up in a supportive household with two parents who encouraged him in love and peace. And he grew up and became a minister and a people's advocate, supporting the rights and equal treatment of all men and women. The pictures in this book beautifully illustrate the life that he lived and the legacy that he left behind. It is a 2002 Caldecott Medal and a biography of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. The first lesson that I chose to incorporate into this is a social studies lesson. I chose to do my lesson in a third grade classroom under the Social and Political Responsibilities tab of the standards. After reading Martin's Big Words, students will go back to their table groups and discuss the impact that Martin Luther King Jr. had. How did the people who lived in his time feel about him? What about shortly after his death? The whole class will have a discussion, and it will be opened up to the importance of standing up for human rights. What does this mean for third grade students, and how can individuals make a difference? The students will be divided into pairs to begin research on the importance of MLK in his community and the civil rights movement. The student pairs will create a thing link to showcase their newfound knowledge. Here's an example of the thing link that I created about Martin Luther King. You can get to it by clicking on the link, but I went ahead and opened it already. So if you go under here on thing link, it is a website that you can put a picture on, and then it has links to different sites. So I put a link to his I Have a Dream speech here, also to a short biography of his life that included quick facts for just quick recall. This is a link to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Here's a link to a fun quiz that you can take to figure out how much you know. Students could take this before the lesson and then take it again afterwards to make sure that they get a 10 out of 10 there. And then here is a link to interactive games about Martin Luther King Jr. Those are also pretty fun. The second lesson I did is an English lesson. After reading Martin's Big Words, the class will watch Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. The class will discuss important points of the speech and how the speech made them feel. Students will be divided into table groups to discuss what they feel passionate about. Are there any injustices in their lives that they would like to combat, or even in their environment, or that they see among their friends? The students will write their own I Have a Dream speech and present it to their table groups. A rubric will be provided for this assignment. So I thought that after the students presented these to their different groups, we could actually have them present these speeches and also their thing links to maybe another third grade class or even a second grade class, especially around MLK Day, just to really get student knowledge and expansion out there as they branch out. So some of my other great reads were The Spider and the Fly. So this is a story, it's a poem that is about the encounter between a spider and a fly. And at first, the fly can easily see the spider's bad intentions and is smart about not going into his web and trickery. However, he begins to flatter her and say many sweet things about her, and so the fly is tricked into coming closer and trusting him. And the story ends very unexpectedly for a children's book, as the spider catches and kills the fly. But the book is given to children as a warning to not trust those who say flattering words to hide their intentions. So I thought that was a very interesting read. The next book I had was Locomotive. It's a very long picture book that tells the story of the locomotive, how it began and how it crosses the country. Many people sell all their things and wait for a ride to the west, and the story tells how the locomotive made those dreams possible. So this could be used in a social studies lesson as the students research the first cross-country trains and how and why people traveled on them. The next book I had was Officer Buckle and Gloria. This is a very fun story that tells the adventures of Officer Buckle, a safety officer who travels around to schools to give safety tips. Usually the students do not listen to anything he says, but one day Officer Buckle is given a police dog named Gloria who assists him in all of his safety talks. They become instant sensations, and everyone wants to have them come back and give many more safety talks. And this last book is The Adventures of Beagle, the Unimaginary Friend. This is the story of an imaginary friend that lives on an island of imaginary friends. Pretty soon he begins to notice that all of the other imaginary friends were being picked by children and given special names. After waiting a very long time, he decides to venture to the real world to find his child and get his own special name. He finds a sweet girl named Alice, who in turn names him Beagle. This is also a fun story. It could easily be incorporated into a English lesson, especially for creative writing, as students could create their own imaginary friends. Thank you for watching my Book Critique 5, and I look forward to showing you one more with Book Critique 6.